Thank you, Brother Fayaz. Good evening. Welcome to the MCC here tonight. I'm standing for Sister Tasheem Nizam. As probably some of you have heard, late last night after the Isha prayer, which is the last prayer of the day, she was hosting a similar event at the Tri-City Mosque in San Marcos Vista. And her husband, who's very well known also to the community, Brother Mustafa Nizam, was hosting a similar event for CAIR in Anaheim. And just after Isha, Brother Mustafa passed away to a heart attack, suddenly, of course. And Brother Mustafa is very well known to the community. His activism and his involvement in the community is well recognized by everybody. So it's really with heavy hearts that we say this and we come here together tonight. This is a very hard day for the community, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our brother Mustafa in the highest place in Jannah, inshallah. And we pray for our sister Tasheem to give her and her daughter Sabrina the patience to go through this difficult time. And we always say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To God we belong, and to God we will return. So for the event tonight, I'm going to be turning the mic to our brother Muhammad Rahimi, who will start the program tonight. Thank you again for coming here tonight.
Thank you, brother. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MCC. We are very happy to have our candidates and also community members and leaders. Today is the third voter engagement event. And the purpose is to have our community members learn about our candidates and our candidates know about our community, and also you will have an opportunity to ask questions. So the first part will be for our candidates to speak for 3 minutes. Brother Fayaz, is that only okay if we have 3 minutes for each candidate, or 2 minutes? 2 minutes. So the candidates will be speaking for 2 minutes. You will all learn about our candidates, and the second part of the event will be for you guys to have your questions. Ask questions and learn about the programs, the projects that you're interested in, any questions from your candidates. And we have a request from John Hemmerling. He is speaking first because he requested that he will be speaking, and then he's have another meeting somewhere. So we're giving you the first opportunity to speak for 2 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm John Hemmerling. I'm running for county sheriff, and I had a couple questions before we started here. So it is the entire county of San Diego I'm running for sheriff for. Why am I running for sheriff? It's been 30 years since we've had an open seat here for sheriff in this county. It's been traditionally either an incumbent or it's been picked by the institution. So I ran to give everybody and the voters of this county a choice to change the status quo, to get a strong leader instead of new and a higher standard. I spent 30 years in public service, my time between the Marine Corps, San Diego Police Department, and also a prosecutor in the city of San Diego. I've been active in reserve. I spent 30 years in the Marine Corps, retired as a colonel. I commanded at every level. I've been a strong leader in there. I spent almost a decade at San Diego Police Department working in City Heights, one of the probably roughest areas in the entire county. I was a beat cop there. I learned a lot of lessons that I brought forward from working there. One of the reasons why, and some of the points, the reason I'm running for sheriff. I went to night law school at the University of San Diego, got a law degree, became a prosecutor in the city of San Diego. I eventually was the chief lawyer for the San Diego Police Department. The last one being Chief Shelley Zimmerman. I was her top lawyer, who's also endorsed my campaign. Then I eventually became the chief prosecutor in the city of San Diego, running the staff down there. And the things that I brought forward from all these things is strong leadership. We need strong leadership. I have proven leadership in everything that I have done, different organizations. I've commanded in the Marine Corps at every level. I was a leader at the police department, and I was a leader at the city attorney's office when I was the chief prosecutor. And that's what we need, a strong leader and strong leadership. When I'm sheriff, priorities are going to be looking out for public safety and safeguarding those that we have in our care. Public safety means respecting the communities and respecting victims of crime. One thing that I learned when I was working as a beat cop down in City Heights is getting out there and doing community policing, connecting with the people, talking to the businesses, talking to the residents, finding out what it is, what's going on, what's the problem, how can we work together to stop crime in our neighborhoods. If anybody remembers some of those areas in the 90s where crime was skyrocketing, that's one of the ways that we did that. Working together with the community, we're going to get back to that. We're going to solve these problems, we're going to address the problems of deaths in the jail, we're going to solve the problems of drugs that are coming across our border, fentanyl, any other kind of drugs. This is one of the highest places of those kind of drugs in the entire country. We need to address that. We need to address violent crime in our neighborhoods, and we need to address gun violence. And those are going to be the things that I'm going to do whenever I am sheriff. Please vote for John Hemmerling. Thank you.
I'm going to have the stopwatch.
Yes, please.
Was that the ding ding?
Yeah.
The second guest will be Assessor Brian Maienschein. My boss, when I did my internship with him for 5 years in Sacramento. Welcome, Brian.
Well, thank you, Mohammed. As Mohammed said, this isn't my first interaction with the community. I'm very proud that Mohammed worked for me in my office. You did a great job, by the way, so thank you for all the hard work you did for me. And of course, I've worked for Imam Fayez with you to help young people in the community, whether it's helping with getting jobs or helping to serve the community. I'm Brian Maienschein. I'm the state assembly member for the 77th district. I'm up for re-election now. In the last 10 years, I've worked on a whole variety of issues. I've had over 120 of my bills passed and signed into law on a whole host of subjects: healthcare, mental health, homelessness. I did the first in the nation legislation on maternal mental health to have a standard of care to make sure we're treating people in our community well. I'd be honored to have your vote. I'm supported by all the law enforcement organizations. Grew up in the community. I'm a dad and a husband, and very proud to represent this community. My new district will have much of the area that I represented before, but we'll also have Escondido and San Marcos as well. So it's good to see everybody again. Great to be out here tonight. And I'm Brian Maienschein. I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you all very much.
I'm a loud person, so I will leave the mic here. And the next guest will be Jason, who is representing Congressman Scott Peters. The Congressman is out here, so you want to go.
Thank you, Mohammed. So, as mentioned, my name is Jason Berger. I'm here on behalf of Congressman Scott Peters. He apologizes that I couldn't make another scheduled event. Just really quick, I do want to take a moment, though, to say really our thoughts and prayers. I know, Fayaz, you and Mustafa really formed a team, and I can attest that this would not look the way it does right now if it wasn't for the work that Mustafa Nizam had done. Like, he really put himself out there years ago when the Muslim community was just getting established here, when they were just getting involved in politics, and it's really through his hard work that we have these interactions now. So our prayers to him, and of course to Zine and Sabrina, his daughter, which I could only imagine what she's going through, knowing how close they were. Just to be brief, aside from that, I would just say, on behalf of Congressman Peters, he's been one of the most vocal members of Congress in regards to the situation in Afghanistan right now. Not just the way that the pullout was handled, but also ensuring that we keep our commitment to the Afghans that's been side by side with our members of our armed services. He was vocal about the original Muslim ban, and we were down at the airport, and I'm happy to talk about that when it was passed. He was vocal about rescinding that. He's been vocal about the ongoing Islamophobia and hate, and in particular, the issues that we're having recently in our school boards and the teaching of our school boards and how students are addressed. So I know there's a lot of issues out there impacting the community. We've got the genocide that's happening in Myanmar with the Rohingya, the enslavement of the Uyghur Muslims in China. I'm happy to discuss any of those matters in more detail and what the Congressman is doing to address those as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. The next guest will be Mr. Singer, who's running for Superior Judge in San Diego.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. It's great to see all of you again. I recognize a lot of the faces. I've been speaking to your community before. Tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Peter Singer. I am a commissioner for the Superior Court. I already run a courtroom in the Kearny Mesa Court. I've been with the court full-time now for 7 years. Prior to that, I was a volunteer judge while I was an attorney. I did that for 22 years. So I've got a lot of experience on the bench. I am the only candidate in my race that has decided cases for the Superior Court. Right now, my assignment is minor criminal infractions. So these are cases that generally do not result in incarceration. These are low-level crimes. These include quality of life crimes, homeless violations, traffic violations, voting violations, fish and game, and anything of that nature. So most of the people that I see in court are not represented by attorneys. They are self-represented. Consequently, I see a lot of homeless people. I see a lot of mentally ill. I see a lot of people who are drug addicted. So one of the things that I have to do on a daily basis is try to figure out what I can do to better their lives, to do something that does not involve incarceration, to do something that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have to pay a high fine and consequently not be able to pay their rent that month. These are the types of people that I deal with on a regular basis. One of the issues that's very, very important to me is access to justice. You might not have heard about that issue, but that's a very big issue, and I'll tell you what it is. Access to justice is really people's ability to access the court system. Several years ago, when the court was facing some financial difficulty, what happened was they started to consolidate. They moved small claims only to the downtown court. There used to be small claims in Vista, there used to be small claims in El Cajon and South Bay. Now if you've got a small claims case, you've got to do it downtown. You've got to pay $32 for parking, and you have your case there. If you're facing eviction, let's say you live in Oceanside, you no longer have the ability to go to the Vista court. You have to find your way to the downtown court. Is my 3 months up already? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let me just say to you before I sit down, I have also been named Commissioner of the Year for the state of California. I have since been president of the Court Commissioners Association. I teach judges on the faculty of the California Judicial College, and I'm also endorsed by the Democratic Party and on most of the labor unions in San Diego County. Please ask me questions later. I have a lot more to say.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Barbara Bree, and I'm a candidate for San Diego County Assessor, Recorder, County Clerk. And the first question I always get is, what does this office do? So I'm going to ask you a few questions. First of all, have any of you been born in San Diego or had children born in San Diego? You too. Have any of you been married in San Diego? Have any of you bought a property in San Diego? Have any of you started a business in San Diego? Okay, then you have dealt with this office in some way. So it is a very important office. It has a budget of $80 million a year, over 400 public servants. And I am running to bring new technology and modernization to an office that has operated under the radar. One of the most important things this office does is appraise new construction. When you buy your house, the purchase price sets your value. Prop 13 governs how much it can go. The taxes can go up. What's more complex is when you have an empty piece of land and you build a new hotel or a big office building. The assessor has to send an appraiser out to determine the new value and to get it onto the property tax rolls quickly and at the right value so that we collect the right amount of taxes. That money that pays for our schools and for other public programs. What our research has found is that many of the large developers in town get away with gaming the system. What I mean is the property doesn't get reappraised so quickly, so they get away with, time without paying their fair share. A little bit about my background. I served 4 years on the San Diego City Council where I chaired the Budget Committee. I ran for mayor and lost. Never expected to run for public office again. A number of community leaders encouraged me to run because of my business background. I have an MBA from Harvard. I spent 30 years in the technology world starting companies before I served on the San Diego City Council. I am not a career politician. I'm a businesswoman. That's a lot about me, about the office. When I was on the San Diego City Council, I did meet regularly with members of your community, and I stood with you when there were the terrible mass shootings in New Zealand. And I look forward to your vote and to working with you if I'm elected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. The next speaker will be Stephen, who is running for Congressional District 48.
Oh wow, I gotta run around the corner here. Can you start my time now? Hey, I'm Stephen Houlihan. I'm running for Congress, California's 48th Congressional District. I'm running to unseat Darrell is a bad guy, first of all, and he didn't certify the election. He supported the coup attempt on January 6th, which was to try to keep Donald Trump in office, which would have been terrible for the Muslim community. Absolutely. I stand against all of that. I grew up in East County, and so I know what it's like to be around a bunch of people that are kind of unsavory and not really accepting. And so, in fact, today I was out spending my day repairing signs that have been slashed and destroyed. And so I can only imagine what the Muslim community goes through, because I'm a big white pink guy. But again, I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years. I ran the SICU, Elder Sharp Healthcare, with one of your wonderful congregation here. And I want to protect Medicare, Social Security. I want to fight climate change. I want to bring infrastructure to our area. I want to make sure that the place doesn't burn down. I want to make sure that we have affordable, clean water. And I want to make sure that we have fair elections. There's so much that I want to do. I'm also about inclusion, acceptance, letting you can be whatever religion you want. You can be whatever identity you want to be, as long as you're free. And there's a lot of people that just don't want you to have that anymore. And so I'm the guy that's going to stand up for that. And it's really important. And so someone like Darrell, he's not there for your best interests. And so I know he's tried to work with the Muslim community in the past, but he's really shown his colors as far as what happened on January 6th. So it's really important. I really love your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Kevin, who is representing Blakespear, who's running for Senate District 38.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Kevin Sabelico. I'm representing Catherine Blakespear, who's running for State Senate District 38. The district runs all the way from SeaWorld down in San Diego County, all the way up to Mission Viejo and the Twin Hills in Orange County. And because the district is so big, Catherine has another event in Orange County, so you're stuck with me. We're actually outside of the district right now, but as you drive in and you pass that elementary school on the way in, that is in the district. So that's how close we are, and we have a nifty little tool on our website, catherineblakespear.com, where you can find out and type in your address and see whether you're in the district or not, because a lot of the districts have changed for most of you. So that's a little bit about the campaign, a little bit about Catherine, and she is a local mayor who gets things done. She is currently the mayor of Encinitas, California right now, that is in this county. Our opponent is actually from Orange County, and she actually has a lot of a good track record to run on. So right now, the San Diego crime report just came out, and crime is actually down in Encinitas. So a lot of people are concerned about crime. It's going up all over the state. Crime is down by double digits in her city that she is the mayor. She's also taken action on gun safety. She passed a state storage ordinance requirement. So everyone who has a gun has to keep it behind a locked door or a cabinet of some kind so that people can't access it who shouldn't have it. She's also taken action to have a clean, reliable water supply for our state. She's taken action to provide homeless solutions. So if you are in Encinitas and you have a car, but you don't have a home, there's a safe parking lot that you can go to and sleep at night where you won't get robbed and you won't have a bunch of drugs in the area. So she actually has a lot of real common sense solutions that she wants to bring to the state of California, and she has the track record and she has the experience, and she's already done it. So please send her to the state senate and do it for the entire state. And again, thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Joseph Rocha, who is running for Senate District 40.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, everyone. Thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't again share in my sympathy and for your loss. I'll share that I was with two of the biggest leaders of labor this morning when we learned the news and how devastated they were. It really speaks to precisely what you were saying about what an impact Mustafa has made in the county and in our communities. And then, of course, also Mohammed, one of the kindest, most encouraging people in this campaign to me. I did run straight out of the service, out of the Marine Corps, and that took a lot of people by surprise. Some people loved it, some people didn't. And Mohammed was just so encouraging and so enthusiastic, and I hold him in high esteem for that. So anyhow, my name is Joseph Rocha. I'm running for state senate, a brand new district, which is Senate District 40. The default incumbent, as I say, is Brian Jones, because 3/4 of that map is what he's represented in the past. But it's important to know that Senate District 40 has never elected a senator, and it most certainly has never elected Brian Jones, right? My opponent is backed by, and you can see it through every vote that he takes, Big Pharma, Big Oil, and the insurance corporations. I'm running to ensure that stories like mine are still possible in the state of California. I'm first generation community college at City, college at USD, law school, and officer in the military, all because I have the community, the public education system, the public safety net necessary to ensure that I can succeed. I often say that I'm running to ensure that children, no matter what zip code they're born into or what family they're born into, have a way out and a way up if necessary, right? Because in my situation, for example, my mother was an addict. She lost me when I was 7. I went to another home, but that other home wasn't a whole lot more safe. And it's because of that social safety net that I was able to rise up. I feel like I'm going a lot faster, but okay. I will be here to answer your questions. It's an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And to the community members, please remember your questions. You will have the opportunity to ask from the candidates and have directly interacting with them. The next speaker will be Brian Nash, who is running for State Senate District 32nd.
Hi there. My name is Brian Nash, and I am running for the 32nd District. I just first want to say my condolences for your guys' loss. I'm new to the area, so I'm not super familiar, but I've heard obviously wonderful things tonight, and I'm sure it's a massive, massive loss. So a little bit about me. My mom was a teacher and principal. My dad ran a small business. Education is super, super important to me. And I'm going to give you a little quick roundabout on this. So I went to school initially for veterinary medicine. I dropped out with 1 semester to go. I then, from there, went into working in retail in Dearborn, Michigan, which, if you guys know, has the highest Muslim American population in the country. So this is right after 9/11 happened. And so I got to see kind of firsthand everything that had happened, the hate, the words, and I always kind of learned just to make sure to stand up for people just kind of going through that process. So you guys will always have my support. But going back to education, I think this is the kind of key to everything, right? It's something that can help us as far as jobs go. It's something that helps as far as climate change. The more that we are able to have a workforce that is able to live and serve the communities that they are supposed to be in, the better it is for all of us. So one of the things I want to work on is housing. Housing is a major issue in the area, and it's super unaffordable, and as I said, it's hard for people to be able to live where they work. So I'm working with partners to try to build innovative solutions for that, so that not just the people that are current homeowners have that right, but it's something that's ultimately attainable for everybody. Also, I will just briefly mention that my opponent, he's an old school Republican. Nothing particularly offensive, nothing particularly bad, but he did choose to not vote twice with things related to the insurrection. He's not, I wouldn't have him stand up for democracy. So I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily, you will be speaking. Emily is running for County School Board of San Diego, area District 5.
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Emily Ortiz Wichmann. I am a mother, grandmother, and a wife of 54 years. I was born and raised in Southern California. I'm first generation Mexican American. And I know our traditions that we bring from our countries and our families are very precious to us. And those traditions and those cultures we want to keep for our kids. I was a school board member in Oceanside for 20 years ago, and I can tell you for a fact that education has changed. The things you are hearing is true. I was there when we had certain programs come in. I voted for them, but they've been hijacked, they've been turned around, they've been corrupted. And that I can see from 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and what is happening now. Just look to see who's running for your board members and who they stand for and what they stand for, because there's a lot going on. We need to get back to traditional academics. We need to get back, because right now our kids are hurting. Yes, I also believe in social emotional learning, but I do not believe in data mining our kids and asking your kids questions about you and your family. It's none of their business. So parents have to beware, grandparents have to beware, and you have to look who's running for school board. I'm running for the county so that I can represent you at the county level, which is District 5 in Carlsbad, Oceanside Vista, Carlsbad Vista, down near San Diego, and all your elementary school districts that feed into San Diego. So I've got a big area, and that's why I was in Vista last night and why I'm here now. So if there's any questions that you think of, just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Tommy, who is running for City Council, District 6.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tommy Howe, and as Mohammed indicated, I am running for the District 6 seat for San Diego City Council. That has had some changes with the redistricting over the last couple of months. So it includes Mira Mesa and Kearney Mesa. It also includes Sereno Valley and Miramar, University City and UTC, and a couple of sort of non-contiguous areas of Scripps Ranch. Before I go any further, I just want to echo what Jason said from Scott's office regarding Mustafa. I know Mustafa and his family through my friend Fayaz, and it was just dreadful to get the news this morning, and it's been actually washing over me. This is the first chance I've had to sort of reflect today, so it's sad news. But at any rate, I'm running because, and I ran back in 2018 as well. I was the endorsed Democratic candidate for the D6 seat in 2018. I'm concerned about our communities being left behind. When you look at our infrastructure issues, especially when it comes to roads, when it comes to parks, regrettably, even though our neighborhoods are 50 or 60 years old, in some ways downtown they're thought of as being brand new. In many cases, they're not really thought of at all. We have about 80,000 neighbors in San Diego who simply live in Mira Mesa. We simply need to have the attention that as the economic center of the city, I think we are afforded. We put a lot into the city's pot. MCAS Miramar, the Convoy District, Sereno Valley, Sereno Mesa, the access to UCSD. If chances are, if you work in northern San Diego, there's a good chance that you work in District 6 if you don't also live there. I'm also running because I want to make sure that we can provide a space for leadership on City Council so that we actually have a counterweight to what is a strong mayor form of government. When the mayor is going in the right direction, we want to support the mayor. And when the mayor is not really going in the right direction, we need to have that counterweight there, and we need to have the courage on City Council to ensure that we can not be held hostage by political games. I'll be happy to talk to you more about that. I'm looking forward to the conversation tonight. Tommy Howe for San Diego City Council District 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Roy is running for tax collector, and he is speaking for us.
Thank you, Mohammed. It's actually Office of Treasurer and Tax Collector of San Diego County. I'm Greg Kodosovich, and I'm running for that interesting position. I am an immigrant. I came to this country 22 years ago with my wife and 2 small children. I was born in Kazakhstan, made it to America, made a new life here, worked as the Chief Financial Officer, managed financial systems at several organizations. I know how to handle other people's money. And that office has several billions of dollars flowing from every year. It's your tax money, tax dollars, property tax. At least $7 billion every year. Why am I running? Remember when I came to America, in my first month here, I wanted to arrange a school for my son, 9-year-old kid. So I took him to a local school and made some arrangements, but the superintendent, Delmar district, said, no, your son is not going to that school. He will go to the school I decided to. And if you don't do what I told you to do, I'll arrange for social services to take your son away from you. That is a public official right here, telling me in my face. I didn't have a social security number, it was my first month in America. This guy is not in the office anymore, but there are other people who feel similarly, who feel the same, who have hard feeling about people with a heavy accent, or who belong to different religious organization, or have a different skin color. My opponent is one of them. And McAllister has been in office for 20 years. He's a Republican, pro-Trump, pro-Wall, pro-gun Republican. Thank you for your attention.
I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And now Frida Brunzel is talking for us. She is running for Poway Unified School.
Hi, I'm Frida Brunzel. I'm running for Poway Unified School. We're trusted Area B, which is northern Poway and Rancho Bernardo east of 15. So just I also wanted to say so sorry for your loss. I'm an immigrant from Sweden. My husband and I moved here about 20 years ago. We first bought a house in Penasquitos, and then we moved to Forest, and now we live in Poway. I have a vested interest in the school district. I have 3 kids. My oldest went all the way through Poway Unified, and he is now just started UCLA. He's going to study math. And then I have 2 younger kids. My youngest is in elementary school, and my middle son is in high school. I have a master's degree in chemical engineering. I worked for many years as a process and product development. And I believe I can bring invaluable STEM experience to the board. I've also been very involved in PTA, and I have my amazing Khadija and Fatia. Where is Fatia? She left? They were on my board at Del Norte. So I was the PTA president at Del Valley, and then I was PTA president at Del Norte, and then I was for the whole school district. So I'm passionate about making sure that all children can go to school feeling safe, valued, and welcome. As PTA president, I also started our Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. Khadija and maybe some of your, we have 250 members, and our goal is to make sure that the school district makes sure that all kids feel welcome. We have encouraged schools to be aware of calendars for different cultures. We have an education series so that we try to teach the community about everyone. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. Please vote.
Thank you. And the last candidate is Daniel, is speaking for us. And after that, we will be taking 5 minutes, probably 5 minutes break, and then we will open to the questions. So please remember the questions you have.
Thank you. Unless you guys want to go into questions right away. Yeah. Okay, we'll do questions right away. But I have to leave, so someone else has to take it.
Salam alaikum. My name is Danielle Roybal. I'm running for a trustee for Del Mar Union School District. Del Mar Union School District, it runs from the coast, Del Mar, Carmel Valley, Torrey Hills. And the reason why I decided to run is I'm concerned about our children. I have a parent in the district. I don't know if you all are aware, but a lot of school board members don't have children in the district. I think it's very important that on a school board, you have someone that has a child in the district. And I'll tell you why. In 2018, 2019, my child went missing. In the transition from school to after-school care, they lost him. He was 6 years old. They found him across the street by himself, at a very busy street, Sycamore Ridge. That's what started my desire and my quest to find out what happens in school districts. I was told I requested an aid to keep him safe. And I was told that there was no money for an aid. Well, this is Del Mar. How is there no money? My background is in finance. I opened up the Chase at Pacific Highlands Ranch. I worked at several different banks. I went through their budget. Guess what I found out? They started the year with $18 million in their general fund. There's money. They put together what's called a foundation many, many years ago, about 10 years ago maybe. And what they tell parents is, you know what? We don't have money to keep our STEAM Plus teachers employed. We need money for these teachers that your PE, arts, math, science, technology, y'all are aware. Well, they created this foundation and they asked for $800 per parent, per child, per year. Yet, over $1 million was spent on lawyers to fight parents, mostly special needs parents, from April 2021 through April 2022. So here you have parents that are struggling with their kids being sued, and money being requested from the foundation that you could just stop the litigation. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jordan, you will be speaking for 2 minutes.
Okay, but can I tell them what I do first and see if they stay around for it? My name is Jordan Marks. I'm running for County Assessor, Recorder, Clerk, property taxes, so don't run. I like to save you money. Actually, we also do the exemptions, it's getting rid of property taxes on structures just like this, so it's more affordable to better serve the community. I'm a certified property tax appraiser. I'm an attorney. I'm the Chief Deputy Assessor at the office right now. And guess what? I know how to protect you from overtaxation. I know how to make sure you're treated fairly and have accountability. Our office last year saved San Diegans a record high $260 million in property taxes. Homeowners, seniors, veterans, charitable organizations, churches, mosques, they all come into our office, we take care of them. We treat them really well. At the same time we did our job so well, we gave record high revenue, over 8% for schools and services. That's a good job. But you know what we do it with? Great customer service. That's our secret sauce. We have a great customer service rating from you, our customers, a 98.6% positive customer service rating. And guess what? The #1 feedback item our office gets. Please take over the DMV. Because we're a good office. You should be able to come to a government office and get your birth certificate, your death certificate, your marriage certificate, your most important moments, and know that there's not red tape and bureaucracy, but somebody that wants to really believe happiness begins here. So we do taxes, we do weddings, the certificates, we work really closely with the community, and I will protect the exemption for churches, mosques, synagogues, for everybody. It's important what you do here for community centers. So I'm here as a resource. I love property taxes, I'm a little bit of a nerd on it, but also I love the community, and I'm here as a partner, not just today, but going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Now we are open to take questions, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer your questions. Okay, first question.
I actually have a question to Judge Singer. And my question is, I know you are not at the Superior Court right now, right? You're more at the small court claims, right?
No.
No? Okay, so here's my question. So that's a good answer. No is good. So my question is, I read and I hear there is a lot of corruption in judges at the courts in San Diego. If you get elected, what power would you have to bring about changes that the judicial system is judicious, prudent, and they follow the law? What is your take on it? I know it's a very tough question.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
You're starting it off easy.
Okay, well, thank you for your question. First of all, let me just clarify. I do presently work for the Superior Court. My role is a commissioner. That means I have been chosen by the judges. When I applied for my job, there were 137 applicants, and they selected me. And I've been in the job for 7 years. So your other question, you're asking me first to accept the fact that there's all kinds of corruption on the bench. And I don't share that premise with you. I do know that there are a lot of people that come through the court system that walk away very disgruntled, very dissatisfied with the outcomes of their cases. I honestly cannot tell you that I know of corruption on our bench. I don't. I know of situations where a lot of people don't like the decision. And you can look at the web, you can look at the internet, and I know for certain that there are decisions that I make that people are not happy with. But one of the things that I pride myself on, and in my position, I have to get on penalties. I mean, that's what I do. I deal with crimes. I deal with people that commit the crimes.
Time is over.
Okay. It's very important for me when people walk away, even though they get a big penalty, a lot of times they say thank you very much and they thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Next question.
Hello, thank you all for being here. My question is regarding children and our future safety of our children. What kind of things, and you're welcome to talk amongst your specific job title, safety in terms of our schools, safety in terms of, equity so that they're not going to jail after high school and colleges, and safety in terms of being able to be independent citizens as they leave in an economy that looks like it's going for the downturn. So I fear that. What kind of things are we doing to address that as a whole for our kids?
Who should answer first?
Doesn't matter. Whoever you think is interested. Safety and, yeah.
Sure, I'll cover really quick. So, I know from the Congressman's perspective, I think one of the overarching issues that we have with regards to security is first of all, it's how we talk about people. And one of the biggest issues that we have right now is accountability. It's not just accountability when you see somebody from the opposing party that says something that you don't like, but you have to hold people of your party accountable as well. And that's something that Congressman Peter has been known for. He's one of the most independent members of Congress. And part of that independence is being willing to hold not just Republicans, but also Democrats accountable. So how we talk about people really matters. When we're acting like Afghans coming to the United States are some kind of danger to the American citizens, that has an impact on how people view Afghans. But the reality is that almost every Afghan that were invited to the United States served with our armed forces. They stood with American soldiers and American sailors and American Marines, and we're defending them. So we have to work about how we talk about people. When we talk about Syrians fleeing a civil war, we can't refer to people as terrorists. There are extensive steps that are in place to bring people here that are fleeing oppression, that are fleeing danger. Same thing with the Rohingya Muslims, the Uyghur Muslims. So how we talk about it is critical, and we need to make sure that we hold people accountable, not just in the opposing party, but also within our party when they start to generalize and use some of those hot terms to refer to members of the community.
Thank you. So I think we start with education, right? It's important that we elect champions for our public school systems, right? Otherwise, we're just funneling money away that's already tied away from our educators and our school systems. It's quite comical to me that suddenly my opponent is just jumping issues, right? Because he can't find a good one that's good to run against me. Right now, I guess it turns out that it's education, when he's been chipping away at the public school system his entire career, right? There's a reason why I'm backed by CTA, CTF, CSEA, so on and so forth, right? Then next is gun safety. It was Scalia, one of the great icons of the Republican Party, and one of the most conservative judges we've ever had, who said that the Second Amendment, like any rights, is not unlimited. It is not a right to any weapon in any place for any person, right? Whereas my opponent wants zero oversights on gun purchasing or ownership. And time's up? Okay. I'm like throwing, okay.
Never ending.
Thank you again. Again, I represent Catherine Blakespear, running for state senate. Catherine is the mom of 2 teenagers. She has 2 kids who ride their bikes to school. I don't know if this is totally what you were asking, but a big factor in safety for children is transportation. It's actually the second biggest pillar of people under 18 is transportation, cars specifically. The first one is guns. And people, the roads aren't always safe. So Catherine has made transportation safer by adding bike lanes, doing a lot of things to slow down traffic in places where children are present. Also, she's endorsed by the California Professional Firefighters. Like I said, she's brought crime down. She's also endorsed by the California Teachers Association, CACA, same as Mr. Rocha here. And as far as the economy going into, having them go into an economy that's going into a downturn, she supports small businesses. She's gotten emergency grants for small businesses during COVID so they could remain open during the pandemic. So that's the backbone of our economy is, making them from education all the way into adulthood, keeping them safe, and she's done a great job of that.
Thank you. You gotta cover that in 1 minute.
Yeah.
All right, first thing, the child tax credit. That needs to come back right away. That takes children out of poverty. Stop selling machine guns to kids under 21 immediately. So let's ban that immediately. We should all be able to agree on that. Those are huge. Food insecurity to children is a problem. That's why the tax credit is so important. The other thing is we need to provide mental health services to young children. So right now we have children that are just, they're very downtrodden, and we need to make sure that they have those services. Maybe that'll stop some of these young people from going in and laying waste to each other in the high schools and such. So again, it's like put the money out there. Let's help the kids by by having a tax credit. Let's make sure that they're not being killed in school. Let's provide them the mental health services that they need. And I'm a coach. I spend my morning coaching soccer. We need to get involved in their lives. And so personally, I get involved in their lives and do the right thing. So it's mentoring, building children up. And there's your 1 minute. There's so much more.
Thank you. As far as running for a city council seat, I currently serve as a San Diego County Planning Commissioner. And so planning is very important to me and how we wind up moving forward as a community and ensuring that what we're building in the future is going to be a desirable place and a safe place and a place where we have enhanced the quality of life instead of really modify and make it unpleasant. I think is job number one to ensure that we retain that sense of community. I would also say, as Kevin said, that transit's very, very important. And how we wind up having transit routes. I can tell you in many areas of my district, we're barely served by bus lines. We don't have the trolley in our communities, and that makes it more difficult, in some ways more dangerous for kids to get around. Bicycle lanes as well. If we're looking at the volume of human beings that we expect to be moving into our communities, we need to find some ways to actually have some safe and effective bicycle transit, and I would say that would also go hand in hand with calming traffic in some of these dangerous high-speed suburban spaces, not just so people can ride their bicycles, but so they can walk and feel safe crossing the street. I think we have a good opportunity to do that actually in the convoy here. It's a good question.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, great question. First, I just want to start by saying, in your situation right there, I think the state should be working with the local officials to create accountability for situations like that. I know it's rare, but it should never happen. So going beyond those types of situations, when you're talking about the kids, you want to make sure that they're able to have, all of the tools to be able to live as safely as possible, right? So that goes everything from making sure that pre-K program is universal. We want to make sure that we have California CAIR for all, so that they're healthy, not just for normal daily illnesses, but also covering the mental health aspect as well. I want to make sure that there is food on every child's plate. There's no reason for any kid in this, not just this country, but certainly this state, with the 6th largest economy in the world. There's no excuse for any kid to go hungry. And I believe that by putting those things together and building just a solid foundational plan for children as they go through life, you can help. You're not going to alleviate all issues, but you can certainly mitigate a lot of the rest that you see. So.
The question was about safety at schools and how to improve education for our children. Very important. We want to keep our kids safe. I've been endorsed by an organization called San Diegans Against Gun Violence. There are ways to reduce the number of guns on the street, prevent people from taking them and using them. But in the end, it all depends on who is in charge, who is an office holder, whom you're putting in those positions to make any decisions or not. So I would encourage you, when you're making a decision, take a look at any candidate who is running for office. Does he do, do they do what they say they will do, based on their track record, based on their community rating, make a decision. You can do something yourself as well.
Thank you, Greg.
So like the previous speaker said, safety has many aspects. I was on Power Unified Safety Committee that it was a series of meetings that we had after the Parkland shooting, and the district has made many investments like improved safety cameras, more lights, etc. And personally, I'm terrified that there will be another school shooting. I always, when I say goodbye to my kids, I always worry it's the last time I see them. So, the best way to stop a school shooting is for parents and the community to keep their guns safe, to have them locked in away from kids. That's really the biggest difference. But then the other aspect of safety is mental health. And the school district has gotten quite a lot of money to pay for counselors, but sadly it's been really hard to get those services. And I have struggled with my kids to get access to the services, and that's really what so many kids are hurting, especially after the pandemic, and we need to make sure they do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's up to your school boards that you elect to be on the school board. You are the community, they are your representation. It's their responsibility to have law enforcement and schools work together as partnerships, get their policies and procedures in place. They are the ones that you look at, they are the ones that you demand what happens. Not the superintendent, the school board, to reach out to all these people that have nothing to do with school districts and can't make school districts do anything except laws that they passed, but to work with them and think out of the box, think in the box. It's your school board members that aren't held accountable, so that's what you have to look at and make them accountable.
Thank you.
Safety and, again, Danielle Roybal running for Del Mar Union School District. Safety and security is one of my main concerns. It's number one, actually, because of what I went through. And there's a variety of things that you can do. But one is listen to the parents. In my particular school district, parents and teachers have been bringing up concerns since February of this year. They filled up rooms with over 100 people, over 20 public comments, and the school boards aren't doing their job. So it is very important, as Emily just said, that you exercise your vote and that you vote for the right people and that you vote for, that's why I say it's good to have parents on a school board. Because if you have someone that cares, they will fight to do the right thing for the children.
Thank you. Jordan, do you want to answer the same question, or should we take another question?
I'd like to save you money on your property taxes. I have a tax tip if you'd like.
I would love that.
Oh, okay. You have one.
The tax bills are coming out.
Yes.
If you look in the top right-hand corner and it's your primary residence, that's your home, you should see the word homeowners. And it said, it doesn't say 7,000. Our property taxes are based on 1%. That's a $70 savings. Then you can file that right away and get your homeowner's exemption. And if you file it before December 10th, you're going to get $120 back this year and $70 every year going forward. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not a policymaker, I'm an administrator. The homeowner's exemption has not been increased in 30 years. Neither has the renter's credit. We've increased taxes on all these other things, but we haven't increased these things, and we say we care about people affording to live here. I'm not the policymakers, but Mr. Rocha or other folk, pay attention, because we all, raise your hand if you think we should increase the homeowner's tax credit and the renter's credit. That's right. Okay, I'm on your side, I'm going to give them the data, and we can do it together. But I'm going to save you money today.
Thank you. And we have, before...
He didn't answer.
Oh, you didn't answer. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So public safety is a very important aspect of my job, and I have to make decisions that affect public safety and keep people off the roads. I will tell you that since the pandemic, we have an epidemic of people driving over 100 miles an hour. So I can tell you to support public safety and protect children. I hold the record in San Diego County with respect to restricting and suspending people's licenses, those who drive over 100. So.
Thank you. Thank you. We are taking the second question from our assessor.
My name is Tasneem Rahmani, and
I'm a businesswoman and a community worker. My question is, I think she left. Actually, I'm supposed to ask the lady who's working with taxes. The economy is going down, and the job opportunities are down, and all the expenses are high and high. Taxes are high and high. What you guys think about us? How we are going to pay in our limited, income? You have to work on that. How you are going to work, I don't know the policy you discussed. You need to make the policy again, because think about your children, future, youth. I started a youth over here in this institute, and they've already finished their education, they are working. Now they cannot afford housing. They are back to their parents, most of them. How you are going to control that? This is very important, because your future, America's future, is depending on our children, our youth. Thank you.
Anybody can answer. Assessor question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's start from here.
So I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house with my wife and our child. We want to have more kids, and you ask yourself, how do you move up? I fight for that every day, I'm gonna let you know. But during the pandemic, and I'm just gonna give you an example, when businesses were shut down, okay, there was a health pandemic, different people said, I'm going home. My office, we went to work. And we reduced personal property tax, business taxes, $11 million during the pandemic, because I'm an expert in tax. We used our brain and figured out within the laws set by the state legislature how to actually deliver relief for small businesses. And we did it automatically because while people were trying to keep their business open, they couldn't know all the rules, and we did it for them. And for the ones that weren't automatic, my office, unlike other offices in the state, we mailed out applications that said, please apply. We did workshops, we did Zoom, we did everything we could. And I personally walked door to door to businesses to figure out how we can help them. That is what a good administrator does. And so it's not just changing the laws, but the people that actually administer the laws, when they have that commitment to customer service and affordability, that's what we do.
Thank you. 1 minute each candidate.
There is no affordability over here.
So,
I'm working on it.
I would say, from the Congress's perspective, this is the essentially number one or number two issue that we hear across the country right now. Either you're concerned about, and they're not mutually exclusive. Everybody's concerned about inflation and the cost of goods, and a very large percent of this country is concerned about protecting women's reproductive rights. So this comes up by far as the top two issues. With inflation specifically, there's a couple of things that we want to work on. First of all, the Congressman actually released a couple months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, just a detailed plan of steps that the federal government should be taking in order to combat inflation. The first thing that he brought up is tariffs. Tariffs are actually a tax on the American people. We still have a lot of tariffs on goods that are coming into the United States. One of the reasons why costs are so high right now is because it's an imbalance. I studied economics in college. The reality is that you have supply, you have demand. When there's high demand and low supply, prices are going to go up. It's the most basic level of economics. We have to rebalance the demand and the supply. One of the ways that we do that is we improve supply chains, and we also look at, which is where the increasing interest rates factors into demand. The only other point that I'll make really quickly, and this is critical to remember as well, under the previous administration, under President Trump, the Republicans passed an $8 trillion tax cut. They increased the deficit by $8 trillion when the stock market was at an all-time high, and the president attacked the Fed to not increase interest rates. What we're experiencing today is because of the policies, in part, that the Republicans put in place when Trump was the president.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, I can tell you that judges are not policymakers, and I'm not allowed to discuss policy issues, so Mohammed will be happy that I'm passing the mic. I will tell you, though, that I do have 2 daughters in their early 20s, and I worry about them because they want to buy a house too. We're all in the same boat.
One out of the house.
Yes. What was the question again?
Fix the world.
It's like we're going through jurisdictions and it's so confusing. Got it. So the first thing is we have to acknowledge that this is a global pressure that we're feeling, right? And there are a lot of people, particularly incumbents, that want to manipulate your hurt and what you're going through and your family is going through to try to pull wool over your eyes, right? The reality is that, for example, an incumbent like mine who wants to rant and rave that Democrats are destroying this country is backed by Big Pharma, which means that he voted against reducing the cost of prescription drugs. He voted against California producing its own insulin and cutting Big Pharma out entirely. He's backed by Big Oil, so he wants you to believe that suspending the gas tax would save you enormous amounts of money, when in reality, it would take money away from our infrastructure in the state of California and wouldn't put any pressure on the oil company to actually reduce the price so they could continue making their profit, but you wouldn't save more than a few pennies, right? And he's backed by the insurance corporations, which means that when you lose a loved one and you go to get that life insurance, they can cut you out and say, you know what, your loved one who was brain dead didn't respond to something in the mail, so he actually isn't covered anymore and you have no benefits. So it's about electing people who are going to fight for you and for workers and not for corporations.
You want to talk? Sure. 1 minute.
So when you talked about people like who are 24 and come back from college and live with their parents, I thought you were talking about me. So Catherine Blakespear has been a pro-housing mayor in an anti-housing city. That was the profile that was in Voice of San Diego about her. And the problem with, we have to build housing. We actually have to build housing to lower the cost of housing, like Jason said, balance the supply and demand. And the problem with that is it's really hard with a lot of people who don't want housing to be built near them. Go down to Fairbanks Ranch and try to build some housing. I dare you. So she actually has the record of doing that. She wants to pass laws to make it easier to build that housing. And that's, I know there are a lot of parts of your question, but that's the only one I have time to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, it was the fix the world question. So yeah, inflation, supply chain management was alluded to. So specifically, fix the supply chain. So when you see all these container ships off Long Beach, let's bring some to San Diego, let's offload them here. Look at the border, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour waits to get goods and services, goods across the border. Let's streamline that. Let's not just build walls. That's all ISA wants to do. And so it doesn't work. And then as far as housing, we need inclusionary housing. And so they'll keep saying, oh, that's low income housing. That's not true. And then we need subsidies from the federal government for the affordable housing components of our general plans. Then we could actually build places where you could actually afford to live. Because when they say low income housing, what they're really saying is the people within the community who can afford to live in that community. So when they're building $1 million McMansions up on the hill, unfortunately, I don't think any of us are going to be the ones buying them. So quick fix the world question, but thank you.
Thank you.
I just turned 53 years old, and I didn't buy my first house until I was 47. I do not want families waiting that long to have to go and get a home. I don't care where you live. There are some housing options that I think, as council members, as policymakers, we can advance pretty quickly. The most readily one would be, as we heard from Brian, increasing the inclusionary housing ordinance to about 20%. I think if we can at least get to that area, we're somewhere around where New York City is as far as policy is concerned. Implement a vacancy tax, some kind of rent control, unique kind of San Diego rent control, and perhaps have a public bank or public-private partnership that can make low-cost loans to first-time home buyers so they can put down a competitive down payment. Because if you are a home buyer, you're competing with interests that simply were not there 10 or 20 or even 5 years ago. And I would also say that as far as inflation is concerned, I hear what you're saying. Water rates are the highest in the state here in San Diego. Electricity rates, I was against extending the 20-year SDG&E franchise extension. If I had been elected back in 2018, I would have been the deciding vote against that. We are being drilled by our electricity utility.
Thank you.
All right, so I think the two biggest ones that most of us hit on every day are gas and housing for sure. So let's just start with a couple things. So first off, as far as gas goes, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but in California, September is like bonanza month for gas companies. They are, so on average, these numbers may not be 100% accurate, just bear with me on this a little bit. But on average, a barrel of oil creates about $6 profit, let's say. In September in California, it's well over $100 of profit. So when we start to see the inflation kind of decrease a little bit, and all of a sudden it's going right back up, that's why. And so for a state senator, for people in our legislature, certainly for people at the federal level, it's our job to make sure that these corporations are accountable for this sort of situation. Let's talk about housing real quick here too. I'm working with an individual, kind of touched on this earlier, but I'm working with someone who does this thing called attainable housing. The idea behind it is working with groups such as Habitat for Humanity to work on ideas that people can buy into houses. They're government subsidized houses, but they are something where we're not in a situation where they can go and just sell it and profit off.
Time is over, Brian. Thank you.
Cool. There you go.
You have 1 minute.
You're asking how can we improve quality of life? How can we improve quality of life here or elsewhere? Well, there was a British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, who once said, you can always count on the Americans doing the right thing after they tried everything else. I'm afraid that that's something we've seen, witnessed, and I can't give you a recipe how to fix it. But there is something you can do, and that is to put the right people so they reduce the trial and error periods. If I'm a treasurer tax collector, and I feel that treasury function is super important, and the way I do a job, we talk to other people how we can get the best out of those tax money. How can we increase, improve the return for that money? We can do a lot better, a lot more, get a lot more for the same money.
Thank you, Greg.
I talk to all those people, they get their opinion, and then we have big meeting, nobody says no. That's how I do my job.
Thank you.
It doesn't apply to school board, does it?
Well, I mean, I can say something. It doesn't apply to school board, I agree, but I think there is something that's important to take away from this at the school board level, and that is making sure that the school board is doing the right thing with your money. A lot of people don't realize that some schools are what used to be called basic aid. It's now community funded. What that means is that your property taxes pay for the school. It's no longer everywhere attendance based. So what I would recommend in your community here locally, find out how you're set up and make sure that the money is going to the kids. You can request. You can do, first of all, school board should post, if it's publicly funded, if it's community funded, they should post where the money is spent. It's public. If it's not posted, that's a red flag. And if it's not posted, you can then, as community citizens, you can request, you can do what's called a public records request, and you can request that information be sent to you. I share this because I think it's important as individuals, we realize what our options are for our kids.
Your time's up. Thank you. We'd love to stay here longer, but since it's Saturday night, we are going to take one last question from our sister.
I am Dr. Tahira Awasi, and I would like to let the panel know that in the community, I have seen a lot of, because I mentor a lot of kids, I've seen and heard a lot of problems regarding bullying of Muslim kids. It's rampant, it has increased, it has not decreased, and what is being done regarding in terms of bullying laws being implemented in schools to make it a safe place for children, as we all talked about earlier.
Are you asking this question?
Yeah. So it's regarding bullying, how CAIR is going to help implement bullying laws in schools to prevent bullying to Muslim kids in San Diego and everywhere in California.
Let's have one from State Senate that we will have you to represent us, and one from Congressional District, and also our school board.
Yes.
So, is it okay if we start with you?
Let me process that.
You can start with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullying is wrong, absolutely is wrong. And so as far as, we have to mentor and be part of children's lives. And so it's trying to pass a law, especially a federal law against bullying, it's not realistic. But what we have to do is we have to create programs where we're mentoring children and being part of their lives so they don't learn just to be a bully. And so, but what we can do at a federal level is we can stop our leadership and stop electing leadership who are bigots, who are anti-Semitic, who are anti-Muslim, and people who blow racist dog whistles. And that's exactly what I'm standing up against with a guy like Darrell Ison. And so that's what's important, is we need leadership that actually lead by example and mentor within the community.
I'm talking about that I mentor kids in schools They come to me as part of my psychiatry practice, and they have said that they are aware of bullying needs to be prevented and communicated and stopped. But even then, it is happening and it's increasing, and I don't think anything is being done.
What it's actually quite the opposite. What's happening is our leadership within our government are modeling bad behavior that's trickling down to their parents. And they're running around with these Trump flags and all this garbage, and they're saying all these terrible things, and the kids are hearing it, and then they're bullying your kids. And so what it is these leaders, we have to elect leaders who are good role models, because what they're doing is they're role modeling bad behavior that their parents are emulating and teaching their children to do. And you can't pass a law against that. That's a leadership issue.
I am talking about prevention of bullying from the administration and teachers level to the kids. That also is happening a lot that I come across, and I don't think anything is being done regarding that.
Education has policies upon policies upon policies on discrimination, on bullying, on harassment, for race, religion, orientation, everything. They have it there on black and white. What's happening, part of this diversity, equity, inclusion, puts our kids in groups. Well, you're this group and you're that group. What happened to the good old golden rule? What happened to looking at our kids as individuals? What happened with Martin Luther King? In my generation, it's about the character, not the color of your skin. We were down, now they're bringing all that, and they think it's working, but no, we're doing groups, we're not individuals. Our kids aren't treated as individuals. And the administrators from the top up, the county and the state, that's the kind of training they get, diversity, inclusion, and equity. And that piece of that is what really troubles me, because we're not groups, we're individuals, and our kids are learning about, oh, in this group, you don't bully this group, you don't harass this. No, it's the golden rule. How do you want to be treated? I know how I want to be treated, and so it has to be very elementary.
My own kids went through that, and a lot of other kids that I mentor as part of psychiatry, in my psychiatry practice, they bring all these things up. I don't think the bullying laws are being implemented.
Exactly.
Or being addressed.
Exactly.
Or anything is happening, it's happening all over to Muslim kids.
So,
I would like
you have 30 seconds,
to
Emily.
Okay, so it's a school board, it's a superintendent that's not looking over her administration, because they know better, it's all there. But again, the way the mindset they're doing with groups, this group, that group, and we're dividing each other instead of being together.
My request to CAIR is please look into bullying laws, make sure they are implemented, make sure the kids are safe. Safety of kids is very important for us to join hands together and work to prevent bullying to Muslim kids in America.
Exactly.
I completely agree with you. There is something that you can do. So, and Emily was talking about that, is the superintendent. So it's very important that you have the right superintendent in place. A school board, they're the boss of the superintendent. It's not the other way around. So if you have the right people on the school board, they can vote. You need what's called a quorum. So if you have 5 people on the school board, you need at least 3 to get the superintendent out. If the superintendent isn't doing the right thing, you need to put pressure on the school board so that they get the right superintendent in. That's one.
My thing is, I would request CAIR to take care of it as Council of American Islamic Relations to prevent bullying to Muslim kids.
And so what I would say is, I would like to partner with you to make that happen. And locally here as well, partner with.
I'm talking about working with the government to implement these laws in schools.
It's all about
High schools and colleges to not let that happen to Muslim kids.
Point
That's
well
what
taken,
I'm
sister.
talking about.
Point
We're
well.
not doing anything regarding that. We need to do something about it.
Point
So
well
may I
taken.
also add one more thing? Sure. You can also file what's called an OCR
I
complaint.
know all that. I
You've already gone that route.
Some
Okay.
of my kids that I know and a lot of kids that come to me, they have done all that and nothing came out of it. So that's why I'm bringing it up to CAIR to address it at the government level to stop it to the Muslim kids.
The other thing, if I would, is also CDE complaints. Are you familiar with that? You are, because you've done that. I would love to connect with you afterwards as well. Yeah.
So my kids have been bullied quite a lot. They are biracial African American, and this is one of the reasons I'm running, because I'm so disappointed with Power Unified that they don't take serious bullying seriously. And I want to make sure that they have better procedures and that they look at school districts who actually manage to decrease the rate of bullying. You don't always have to invent the wheel. You can look at districts who did better and see what they're doing. And maybe the most important is to follow up with the victims' families and say what they did, because we never hear. They never follow up.
Collectively, we need to join hands to stop this to Muslim kids, and it's not only at the kids level, it's at the school level, it's at the administration level, it's at the highest level, coming to Muslim kids. It has happened to my kids, and it has happened to a lot of kids that come to me for guidance regarding this. So that's why I'm bringing it up to CAIR, to do something about this.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sister. Okay, let's have a comment. We are closing at 8 o'clock, so we have less than 5 minutes. Let's have a few more answers, and then we will be closing. Jason?
I'll just add a quick note on the point that was mentioned with regards to bullying. And I hate to do this, but I have to strongly disagree with what was said by one of the speakers previously. The reality is that we're doing diversity, equity, inclusion because of what's going on with Muslim students. So the bottom line is that certain kids are bullied more than others, period. This idea that diversity, equity, inclusion is creating bullying is not true, period. We are doing diversity, equity, inclusion because certain people are bullied more than others. Muslim kids are bullied more than others. LGBT kids are bullied more than others. Native American kids are bullied more than others. Those are facts. Now, how do we resolve that? It's by enforcing the rules, and that was true. So we have a big problem right now. And just two more things I want to know. One, there's no comprehensive database for hate crimes. None. There is no comprehensive tracking for hate crimes. The Congressman is a strong proponent. You can't solve a problem if you don't know where the problem is happening. So we strongly support a comprehensive database for hate crimes. And that requires law enforcement agencies to report when they see hate crimes. That's number one. And number two, there was a whole entire program about combating violent extremism. Well, if we're going to combat violent extremism, let's go after who the violent extremists are. A disproportionate amount of federal resources were used on minority communities who weren't violent extremists, and they were ignoring the right-wing violent extremists that were shooting people up. We need to make sure that law enforcement has the information and is going after the people that are causing that hate.
I'm talking about.
Thank you, and
people went to the board.
Yeah, you're good. That question was.
Nothing else was done.
Okay, that question was taken, or.
To all of you.
One more. Okay, let's take the last question.
Actually, my question is in the form of show of hands because of the time. Do you or not, and if you do, raise your hand, support the idea that Eid, Eid, which is the holiday after Ramadan, should be an official holiday, and children in school should have the official day off, just like Thanksgiving is off, Christmas is off. Do you support or not? Raise your hand.
It's just a hand raise.
I'm just going to add really quick to that, though. Here's something, it's not just Eid. We need to be conscious of all of our marginalized communities. So Eid should be a holiday. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur for the Jewish community can be a holiday. Kwanzaa can be a holiday. Why is it that only Christian holidays are the days that everybody gets off? So I fully support it, and I think that we have to look at other holiday celebrations as well. Holi for the Hindu community. So there are many celebrations, whether it's Sikh, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Hindu, for other religions that we need to teach about more in schools, and having those days off, one, is important to those families, and two, it would significantly increase awareness so their classmates and their teachers understand those calendars. So it's all of those holidays should be up for discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Any other comment on that? Okay, we're done.
We're done? Okay. We'll have to continue this discussion tonight, but it's Saturday night, and let's get it done. It's already 8 o'clock, and the CAIR board member, Brother Amar, will have the last comment. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad. So I wanted to thank the candidates here tonight for coming and meeting with the community. Obviously, we have our issues as a community, in addition to what we face as Americans on a daily basis. What happened with the Muslims in every country almost around the world makes it even harder for us here in the US. And sometimes the double standards that we see from our government, regardless of whether Republicans or Democrats, when it comes to the issues of Muslims outside the US, just hurts us more and more in everyday politics. So again, thank you for being here. One last probably message to the community. I know as a community we always ask ourselves, and what are we getting out of voting? Like, Islamophobia is increasing, wars are increasing, everything that hurts us as Muslims is increasing, and we cannot do anything about it. So why should we vote? It's a good question. And I would say that the guide for us in all of this is our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I would mention that when a Bedouin came to Prophet Muhammad and asked about his cattle, O Messenger of Allah, shall I tie it and rely upon Allah, or leave it loose and rely upon Allah? Because Allah will do exactly the same thing. Should I tie it or should I just leave it? And the Prophet said, tie it and rely upon Allah. So vote and rely upon Allah. Thank you.
We will have more events in the future, so you will receive more emails from me, and we will have this partnership. Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone.